Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Productions bringing you another anime TV series review.
We've probably watched so much anime at this point that it's incredible just how many different varieties there are out there. And then when we think about like the epitome of where you would put the top tier anime at, of course everybody circles around the concept of the big three. And from the original set, this is our attempt to try and tackle Bleach.
Bleach is among the big three in the manga anime space, and if you are not aware of what the big three really means, it essentially means they were the highest selling manga at the time of their three concurrent stories being broadcasted.
And they were so popular, still popular right now.
Bleach is among One Piece and also Naruto. Though they are grandfathered into Dragon Ball being the top, and they were the ones that were able to catch up in popularity. Bleach is based off this manga by author and illustrator Tite Kubo, and this anime lasted from 2004 to 2012 for the original run.
Yeah, there was a bit of a really long-stead hiatus, thanks to circumstances that came about, but eventually they would come back.
Yes, at the time of this video, the final part to the anime revival of Bleach: The Thousand Year Blood War, which is an adaptation of the manga's, as of right now, currently made a final arc.
There is another arc that's supposed to be rumored to be in the makes, that being the Hell arc, but
that hasn't even been touched even from the actual authors.
Exactly.
And we'll discuss the Thousand Year Blood War about 2 months from now, once we actually do that review. But this is review is about the first run of the anime, from the first arc to, at the time, I think it ended in the Fullbringer arc.
Yeah.
And the story of Bleach essentially starts off with young high schooler Ichigo Kurosaki.
Yes, otherwise known as Strawberry due to his unique hair, orangey texture and color. Yeah, basically, it really centers around Ichigo and how he navigates his world, and the people that he holds closest to him. Ichigo actually had, from apparently a traumatic experience in his life, a unique ability, that being able to see spirits or ghosts. And that eventually puts him on the track towards meeting a unique character named Rukia, Shinigami, or Soul Reaper, that puts him into this new terrain to basically combat forces that threaten his world and those he loves.
And Bleach is, at least from the manga, this world building has, compared to the big three, other two stories, is more influential that you'll see in more modern animes and mangas that came afterwards. From the basic structure of lone character who joins a group of secret individual, a society of individuals to come back to a supernatural force. That formula is very prevalent, and it is nothing new that Bleach pioneered. A prior anime that was just like it, certain subject matter, is Yu Yu Hakusho. Another Shonen Jump, but that was back in the 90s. And this one, I'll say, it refined that formula, and that is being made prevalent to this day.
Yeah, some of the interesting concepts that comes up with Bleach, at least that was introduced in the series, is their unique take on power transformations, that dealing with the concepts of Zanpakuto or soul cutters, their swords, and how they have different releases. The first release being a Shikai, and then the final release being the Bunkai, and then the various other enemies and individuals that Ichigo and the team basically fights up against, being hollows or Rankars.
When the story started off, it wasn't traditionally what we call now battle shonen. In fact, similar to how Yu Yu Hakusho actually started off, it was like this monster of the week scenario.
Yeah, Ichigo basically taking on certain circumstances with certain spirits, and figuring out what went wrong in their lives to bring them into a situation where they would either become or be terrorized by hollow bit like beasts.
And he tries to do that while balancing his high schooler life and duties. Him with either trying to take care of his other younger two sisters.
Yep.
With still to this day one of the most attentive and caring fathers in anime.
The man actually stood around and actually cared for his family.
Ichigo's friend group, I would consistently say that they are like basically ride or dies with him.
Oh yeah. Almost every situation that Ichigo finds himself in, here comes the group saying, here we go again, and they all are already, packed up and ready to go, ready to stake down anything just to see their boy Ichigo actually prevail. Of course, though, there was a pivotal shift towards the actual flow of the show and the story development that goes from this enemy of the week into where they go into what is known as the Save Rukia arc,
or the Soul Society arc.
Soul Society arc, in which then Ichigo is pitted against multiple other Shinigami that threatens to end the life of his cherished friend, that being Rukia Kuchiki. And in that situation, things really transforms into
the main threat of the whole big bad series.
Yeah.
From there, there's no tournament arc in this. Like this is actually something that is actually unique into itself in the Battle Shonen world, but it's still like a martial arts based supernatural. Mainly deal with sword fighting. But I would say that Bleach is unfortunately a series that is more style over substance.
Yeah, so much of this, conflicts that comes up in here, they appear to be more interesting than they actually truly end up being, because I feel as though they get so much towards just the fight itself or the flashiness of the fight than it does really necessarily go into how, the genius that comes into it, or the skills or aspects. It's just like you build up yourself just to get strong enough, that way you can have this dramatic finish towards the end.
And with the show that's dealing with subject matter of the afterlife and death and the souls of who is ruling amongst the undead or life beyond life itself. You expect that some sort of heavy existential themes will probably come about it.
And do they touch on some of the stuff? Yeah, here and there, but it's always like the very last minute concept,
or very surface level at best.
It's mostly on just the fights that Ichigo and his friends end up finding themselves in and prevailing in the day.
Now, with that, with the whatever story or plot that it does follow, the show lasted like more than 366 episodes in its original run. And during the era in which there was the anime always had to catch up to the manga, and so unfortunately, despite whatever thinly written plot that the Bleach still was going with, it had to stretch out.
And that comes into the horrible situation that almost any anime or manga, well, really specifically anime fans, find themselves in. And that goes into those filler arcs. And Bleach had so much.
Yeah, the pacing really suffered here. It's like long-running animes that having filler episodes is like kind of like
It's a staple.
It's routine, but sometimes it's like few episodes there. No, Bleach actually had full-on seasons.
Like literally back to back. It's not even just like here's a season and we'll go right back. Here's a season. No, it was like almost 4 or 5 different stretches of filler arcs in between what was supposed to be the main canon arcs.
And it'll happen so abruptly, especially once doing the main plot, to actually like stop what they're doing.
It's like the momentum was killed.
Yeah. And it's stretched out from the substitute soul reaper arc to the Fullbringer. And at the end of the day, like it got into like, let's just have this series end. Like we said, we will discuss the 1,000-Year Blood War in its own video, but on a story front from the original Bleach, it did suffer mainly from this that very drastically long pacing. Luckily enough, it did have some interesting characters to follow through, starting with Ichigo Kurosaki, who, like what I said previously, he started off started off as a substitute Soul Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his full-time job.
No, he's a high schooler at the end of the day, but he definitely has heart. He's very loyal to his friend groups and the people.
Which is basically the core.
Aspects of Bleach in and of itself. But he's also very direct and has a sternness quality.
He doesn't
to him.
like authority.
No, he definitely doesn't. One thing I actually do feel as though I wish they actually had done more is diving deep into his his unique connection to his spiritual side.
Like a lot of a lot of the mysteries that goes around, at least especially with Ichigo as a character, it deals with his lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say without spoiling too much, it's still like some of this very prevalent even in these like this original run, that you will find that Ichigo is basically a melting pot
of multiple different aspects throughout his world,
and how that attributes to a lot of the successes that he finds himself or the trials that he come across. Just how much of a plot device that he
and that's what it really comes. It's like that more than anything is the main issue behind Ichigo. It's like it feels like a plot device, but it also doesn't feel. It feels like a tacked on plot device. Like I don't feel as though it's nearly as earned as it was the first time we introduced him into the Shinigami world. Everything else is tacked on to him afterwards. Just feels like, okay, here comes another thing that could probably put him on the same level as somebody else. Here comes another thing, and it just keeps going and on and on and on. It's like
the wheels.
It's like where is it really going? It really just feels, and unfortunately for the rest of the series, it almost feels like Tite just didn't know exactly where he was really going.
He was all about the world building, but not really about actual narrative.
Mm-hmm.
A person who originally started off as like a second lead to the series was the character of Rukia Kushiki. The character, like she was starting off as the Shinigami who were patrolling Ichigo's town area primarily before she almost had to be saved by Ichigo, and thus she transferred some of her abilities for him to be the substitute Soul Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though the series there was a vibe that those two had that buddy cop situation that had a strong focus that I like,
and it didn't rely on the eventual will they, won't they vibe situation. It never really felt like it was going to go too much in that territory.
No, especially if you already had another character who was really serving that plot. It was a good platonic relationship that was serving very similar goals that unfortunately they went to the sidelines when she ended up being a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And when they tried to bring her back into the fold, she's just mainly a supporting character to Ichigo's story. You know?
And even more so on Orihime, which really just gets like completely sidelined.
Mm-hmm.
And another character being Chad.
Like I said, they're just right. Their personalities, Orihime and Rukia, and eventually, and Chad, they are right of that characters.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really. Their whole service, they're Ichigo's friend. That's their whole personality.
Yeah.
In fact, I can basically describe all of Bleach characters into 4 different personality traits. You have the chill, relaxed character.
Mm-hmm.
You have the overly eccentric. You have the elitist type of personality. And you also have the stoic. And that's basically all the characters make up that. Especially when it comes to a lot of the Gote 13 Shinigamis, the captains and the lieutenants. No one actually gets a character arc that's actually quite meaningful. That you can really tie yourself to. You're just going with the vibes and working off a person. If you like personality, that's it. Aizen.
I feel as though with Aizen, my problem is like in the beginning when he was introduced as this, mysterious and dark individual, he was pretty cool to, see like where is this individual gonna go? But then because of how long they drag out the finish towards, ended up, confronting him, I don't feel as though they really did that in the way they honestly should have. Especially when you deal with the situation what they did. But again, I feel as though Bleach's main heights are within the Shinigami arc, but that was also where the show also turned away from what could have been something a little more substantial.
Yeah, once they got to the Arankar arc, where they basically show Aizen as the main threat, and having these Arankars, who are basically a humanoid hollows. You'll see some character, like some of the antagonistic hollows, they have some form of characterization that's memorable, like Grimjow or Ukiur.
Yeah, Ukiur.
Yeah, where she's like, Ukiur has this weird fascination. They both form a very weird fascination with Ichigo on two different types of levels. But they bring out who brings out either the best and also the worst qualities of Ichigo as a character.
Yeah.
So in that regard, they were more of an antagonistic figure than Aizen himself.
Which is crazy.
But they're running off of their own extreme personalities. Of Ukura being more the very villainous stoic type, of Grimjow being overly eccentric.
It's like, again, as you say, it is more just about style over substance. It's just about the big flashy fights and unique abilities that each individual is supposed to have, and then that's it.
Production wise, like most mangas and anime turned manga, they take the art direction from the manga,
and it translates pretty well. I feel as though this is one of those few ones. It's like you can have either or.
Studio Pierrot, the same studio that did Brought to Life, Yu Yu Hakusho, and also they also produces Naruto as well. I would say most of it, they were kind of consistent in a lot of the animation, especially when they try to be more on model at most when it comes to.
And I feel as though is that where the Bleach does succeed, is like it was all of his frames. There was no real transition between anything being less or more.
It does have those stretches of some episodes that do highlight, get that big boost in animation quality,
but not nearly enough that qualifies it in the same realm as what, like when Naruto does it, or Bleach, or when One Piece has. Like this one is like, out of those two, this one's really just in the middle.
You don't really you won't really get that high quality high quality consistent animation until you get to the 1,000-Year Blood War.
Yeah.
But as the original run, it's like it's hidden, it's passable.
Yeah.
For the most part. Thankfully, I could say that Bleach did not skip out on is the music.
Oh yeah.
Shiro Sagetsu, who is also very known in the anime field as the composer for Neon Genesis. He composes a very unique score for Bleach. Yes. That combines this very high orchestral opera score,
but with a funky, jazzy, aspects that he intertwines it within it too.
Yeah, like very heavy uses of choir. And also a blend of cultures as well. Once you get into the Arrancar art, you will really hit that blend of
that was hard.
The Spanish, Spanish influences are very prevalent throughout. That really benefits, like separating the different type of realms of existence where the Bleach will actually divide themselves in, with also the society being heavily like feudal Japan aesthetic, but yet they still have this modern qualities because for some reason they also have, even though in the afterlife they have very advanced technology,
which is weird. It's both advanced, but at the same time also like, okay, it's weird. It's similar to almost in the same vein as Dune in some sense, where you have it's ancient but at the same time somewhat advanced. So it's kind of cool in that respect.
One thing that Bleach for art direction and character design has going forward that I feel though is worth noting is how well and appreciative the character designs are for many different cultures. Like Tite Kubo, he really did do a good job of differentiating different characters, especially characters of color.
Exactly. What he did with Chad, what he did with Tenzin, Captain Tenzin, certain other characters, I'm really impressed with that. Not too many other animes do justice towards expanding beyond multiple different ethnic groups. And I feel as though that's something that Bleach really did well.
On an entertaining basis, I can see it's good, but on a narrative is okay.
Yeah.
So it's that weird middle-ly ground.
That really straddles between the two.
But it's not a show that really has anything significant to say. It's not like Naruto, and where from manga chapter 1 to episode 1, you knew exactly what this narrative weight it was. There's strong gripping. Naruto had his faults because it lasted too long. One Piece doesn't get good until the
Enies lobbies are.
Indian lobby are. So it took a while for One Piece to really show its hand in the narrative front. Bleach, I would say, if somebody were to re-edit Bleach with minus all the filler, you're looking at probably a good solid 100 or 150 episodes.
Yeah.
Worth of material that's just solidly good entertainment. But there we go. That's how our start of discussing the big three on this channel. Technically, we already started with One Piece live action, but we're going to officially talk One Piece once that anime is done.
If it gets done. I mean, again, One Piece, oh my god.
Yeah, I said also we'll discuss Bleach once the 1,000-Year Blood War anime finishes its run. But until then, let's discuss what is your opinions on Bleach.
Is it your favorite out of the big three, or do you actually feel as though that spot should be flipped on its head and insert other ones that honestly could have been on the list?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the characters in the world? Let's discuss on that aspect.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you want to discuss more, we have our social media platforms, Letterboxd, Instagram, and Threads. For other content we don't necessarily post this channel. Be sure to like and subscribe to discuss. And if you want more of what we're discussing or anything anime related, my name is Adam.
And I'm here.
And this has been a Seeking Media Productions.
See ya.